Welcome to Incorporating Experiential Learning into the Online Classroom. What is experiential learning? Experiential learning means learning from experience or learning by doing. In experiential education, students are immersed in an experience. Students are encouraged to use reflection about the experience to develop new skills, new attitudes, or new ways of thinking. The experiential learning cycle. There are 4 components to the experiential learning cycle. The first component is concrete experience. The second component is reflective observation. The next component is abstract conceptualization. And the final component is active experimentation. Concrete experience. The concrete experience is a hands-on personal experience. Experiential learning forces students to step outside their comfort zone and learn something new. This can be a creative and fun process, but it can also be challenging for some students. This is active learning. Students are not passive observers. They are actively engaged in every step of the process. Students can use experiences from their personal life, their job, or explore opportunities in the community. Reflective observation. The next step in the experiential learning cycle is reflection. Reflection is key aspects of the experience for students to learn. In life, we need to reflect on our experiences. This is the way we successfully learn from those experiences. This is what the reflective observation phase of the experiential learning cycle is all about. What went wrong? What went right? What needs to be improved? How can I improve it? This exercise promotes critical and creative thinking skills and analytical skills for the student. Abstract conceptualization. As we discussed, experiential learning promotes critical and creative thinking skills. The next step in the process is analyzing the experience. Now that we've identified what went well and what needs improvement, we need to begin the process of planning for the future. Our reflection stage provides information on the process and outcomes. This step helps us develop a strategy for success. The most interesting and exciting part of this stage is the transferability of these skills honed in the abstract conceptualization process. Strategies for success developed by the student are not limited exclusively to the experimental learning project. They can carry over into other aspects of the student's life. Active experimentation. The active experimentation phase of the experiential learning cycle is where the students get to experiment with their ideas. So you've tried a strategy. It did not work. You go back to the drawing board and devise a new strategy based on the strategies that were successful. The next step is that you try out your new strategy. If that doesn't work, you reflect, you use concrete conceptualization, and go forth into the real world and actively experiment again. What are the benefits of experiential learning for online students? It transforms students into practitioners. They are no longer just observers. Experiential learning is an active learning that requires active engagement. Whether it is an experience in the community or an online simulation, students learn more by doing. Motivated learning is one of the aspects. Students participating in experiential learning are highly motivated. They can see and experience real-world problems and apply real-world solutions to solve them. In the process, the students develop real-world skills. Experiential learning is validating. Students feel good about themselves. Instead of only saying, I know this, they say, I can do this, because now they have real-world skills. Mastery of course content is another important aspect. Often, students experience only surface learning in courses. They may memorize dates or theories, or perform well on a test, but ask them what they learned 3 weeks later, and their knowledge of the topic may be minimal. Research has shown that learning by doing improves comprehension and recall. Students remember 60% of the learning content with experiential learning compared to only 10% when they listen to a lecture. Critical and creative thinking skills are another important aspect of this experience. Experiential learning introduces the student to unique problems and scenarios which they must solve using their own strategies. Because students are experiencing real-world situations, either live or in simulations, they must try and implement different strategies. Of course, these efforts will yield different results, naturally prompting the student to analyze, revise, reattempt to solve the problem. Long-term benefits: perception, practice, and persistence. In experiential learning, the learning process is dependent on the student. To be successful and solve problems, students must be analytical, active, and tenacious. What does this mean, and what are the long-term benefits? While students involved in experiential learning participate in a cycle of practice, reflection, evaluation, and experimentation, these skills instill in students a mindset for achieving success. A positive and open mindset is perhaps one of the greatest benefits of experiential education. In experiential learning, failure is not an option. Failure is not even part of the experiential learning cycle. One simply practices, reflects, evaluates, and experiments again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Now hopefully I've converted you to this idea. How can you incorporate experiential learning into your online courses? Well, technology provides many opportunities to incorporate experiential learning into online courses. Realistic experiences can be incorporated into the course using virtual activities like case studies, role plays, gamification, and simulations. It is even more impactful if you incorporate real-world experiences. Students can participate, complete projects in the real world, in person, or virtually through the use of technology. Students can collaborate and reflect on their experiences using social media, blogs, meeting software, or other technology. They can develop ideas, share information with classmates or the larger community. Notes from the field. Experiential learning was incorporated into a psychology course to bring concepts and theories of psychology to life for students and help students test and understand these theories in subfields of psychology. Experiential learning was used. Students were required to select psychological concept or subfield and create a project using experiential learning cycle. Some of the areas students selected included child development, lifespan development, trauma, addictions, and cognitive development. Here are some of their reflections. Outreach to the elderly. Trying out the role of outreach coordinator has only strengthened my passion for advocating and mentoring the elderly population. I have learned that working with the elderly is where I belong. These people have worked very hard all their lives and are contributing members of our society. I learned that I want a position where I can actively participate in making changes with some of the elder programs currently in place. I was able to work in many areas of outreach within the community. I contributed quite a few ideas to the director, and this past week it resulted in a job opportunity. Working in the various capacities of outreach has sparked a whole new area of interest for me. Autism support. Reflection on my project has made me see that there are great ways to assist children with autism spectrum disorder in addressing their issues with communication skills and their socialization with peers. Helping veterans. I can honestly say I went into my project with minimal expectations. I didn't see how it related much to psychology, so I started looking at it as a sociological problem, an experiment. But over the course of my time doing the project, I felt more confident. On my last day, a man approached me and told me how he had spent the first half of his life in dormitories as a child before being transitioned into a foster home. From there, he joined the Army and went on many tours until he was discharged. What really got me in this whole experience was how forthcoming people were with something so personal to them. I also learned not to assume things at face value because the deeper layers are usually more than any expectation. A school project. I've learned so very much about myself. Having the opportunity to do my project at a local high school was a dream come true. To see what is happening behind the scenes and understand the role from the perspective of a student was incredibly eye-opening. What values, opinions, beliefs have changed? My values have not changed. However, my beliefs about what type of difference I might be able to make within the school system has, and I'm very excited. Addictions advocacy. We held a candlelight vigil that was put together and accomplished in a 2-week time frame. This is where most of my time was spent, and what I learned most about myself during this was that I can really accomplish anything if I put my mind to it. I had a number of tasks that I was charged with for this and accomplished all of them. I felt very proud and incredibly rewarded with the hundreds that turned out for the walk. What values, opinions, beliefs have changed? My values haven't changed. However, my beliefs about what type of difference I might be able to make have. It was overwhelming to see, hug, and meet new people within my community that are either grieving those who they've lost in the battle or those who continue to go through it. This vigil brought together so many people, and it sets a new objective for me: youth advocacy. I've learned that although I'm flawed, I can make a contribution to the community. Everything happens for a reason, and I believe this has turned me into a great counselor. I know that with hard work and dedication, anything is possible. I also learned that I'm a great communicator, and I love public speaking. Who would have thought? Creating workshop materials, engaging the youth, is something that I do very well. I hope you've enjoyed this journey through experiential education and that has inspired you to incorporate these methods into your courses. Now it's your turn.